All right, hi guys. Okay, so first, thank you for getting your projects turned in. I will get those graded as soon as possible. But today what we're going to do is start the first of basically two lessons we're going to do from sociocultural psychology. Um, as of today, we only have 5 days left, so we're almost there. You guys are almost to summer break or to the point of being high school graduates. We can make it. Now, with that being said, I don't want to add like a ton to your schedule right now. I know that you're probably worried about some of your other classes. Some of you need to catch up on work in this class and in some other classes. But I mean, it is still school, so I have to do some stuff. So I picked 2 topics from sociocultural psychology that we're going to be learning about over the next 5 days. And then, so we're basically going to do 2 days per topic. And then on the last day, I will send out a Google form with a couple of questions. It's not a final, but that'll be kind of our wrap-up day. So today, what we're going to talk about is stress. And the reason I chose this topic out of sociocultural psychology is because this is definitely something that we're all experiencing right now. It's something that we're going to all continue to experience throughout our lives. And I wish that I'd had somebody talk to me about exactly what stress is and good ways to handle it when I was in high school before I moved into being a college student, or even move into my senior year. It's a pretty stressful time. Hopefully next year seniors won't have as much special epidemic related stress as this year's seniors are having, but stress is something we have to deal with, and it's always better to learn healthy ways to deal with stress than just fall back on things that'll eventually cause us more stress. So today I'm just going to walk you through some notes. There's a Google question that you will need to answer at the end of this, and that's it for today. Tomorrow you'll have an assignment based on this, and then next week we will look at how groups work. You're gonna watch a little clip from a Dr. Seuss story, and then that'll be it. And then our last thing will be that Google form. So I did upload a copy of these notes to the assignment, to the Google question. So if you want to look back through them, you can. I'm just going to walk you through these notes, answer the Google question, and you'll get your points for today. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so when we talk about stress, one of the things that causes a lot of stress is conflict, which is something that we deal with groups, which we're going to look at actually next week. All right, so conflict is a natural part of human existence. We're all unique individuals. Conflict, therefore, is inevitable. Not everybody's going to get along with everybody else. You're not always going to agree with the way people do things, or the order that they do things in. You can both be equally nice people and still have conflict. But not everybody is always nice, and so conflict happens a lot. So conflict can be a major or a minor thing. Okay, so types of conflict. For psychology, we're going to talk specifically about internal conflict, like what Groot's having. Not Groot, Kronk. Oh my God. All right, I don't even know what's happening to me today. All right, so the conflict from the Emperor's New Groove, where he's having a conflict within himself, and then external conflict. You can see the longhorn sheep. Okay, so conflict resolution. How do we resolve conflict? It tends to depend on how many people are involved and the personalities. So the best way to resolve a conflict is have the parties work together to achieve a common goal. So this is the best way. Make people interact with each other, see them as, actual people and not just like enemies or, people that they're having a conflict with. So that's one way to resolve things. The second is discussion. So typically when you have conflicting parties may actually come together to discuss things, oftentimes they can come up with a solution that is better than what they were originally conflicting over to begin with. However, discussion requires that both parties don't bring their ego to the table, that they're willing to work with the other. And so a lot of times discussion is not how you see conflict end. One that you do see a lot is compromise. Both sides give up a little bit to get something that they care about more. And then another one you see a lot is one side just gives in. So, maybe you're having an argument with somebody or you're trying to decide where to eat, and you keep giving out ideas. Oh, let's try this place, let's try that place. And the person that you're talking to just keeps shutting your ideas down. No, I had that one, 2 days ago, or no, I don't feel like whatever. So you just say, fine, whatever, you pick it. Okay, you just give in. That's not always very healthy, but it does happen a lot. Now, one thing that conflict causes a lot of is stress. Okay, and I know that we have all been dealing with a lot of stress lately. You can see the little bunnies are scared. Okay, so stress can be caused by a lot of things. This is where we'd normally have a discussion in class. What are some things that cause you stress? So just think about that real quick. In the past, people have talked about, classwork, school, their parents can cause them stress, their friends can cause them stress, not finding the right outfit, lots of things can cause stress. So stress in and of itself is the anxious or threatening feeling resulting from a person's inability to cope with a certain tense event or situation, which is just a lot of words to say you don't feel like you can handle something, and so you stress out about it. You worry about it, you get that feeling in your stomach. I'm getting it right now, even though I'm just talking about stress. And it's not necessarily healthy. All right. Now, come on. All right, so stress factors: conflict, situational appraisal, environmental stressors, life changes and hassles. We just talked about conflict. Again, that can be internal or external. Situational appraisal, so usually when we talk about this, we talk about, finals coming up. And somebody might go, oh my gosh, I don't think I can handle this. So they're looking at a situation and they're getting stressed out over whether or not they think they can handle it. Environmental stressors, these are things that we can't really control. So right now, a huge environmental stressor that most of the world has been dealing with is the pandemic, and the decisions different governments have made to deal with the pandemic. Specifically, quarantining, isolation, social distancing protocols, that type of thing can cause a lot of stress, and you don't have control over it. Even being stuck in a house with your family for, weeks on end, even if you love your family, can be stressful. Environmental stressors can also be like the literal environment that we're in. So maybe your room is cluttered, and that can cause stress. And maybe you feel like it's too cluttered for you to deal with. So that's situational appraisal, and then that gives you more stress. And then you have the situational appraisal stress on top of the environment stress, and then you just keep not doing stuff. You need a problem. Life changes. So a lot of you are graduating this year. That can be a big life change, and it can cause a lot of stress. What school am I going to go to? Am I going to get enough scholarship money? Will I be approved for the right type of loan? By the way, you want a subsidized loan because the government pays the interest rate on that while you're in school. Unsubsidized loans, you have to pay interest while you're in school. Anyway, side tangent. Life changes can include good things too. Getting married, having a baby, getting a divorce. That can be a good or a bad thing depending on your situation. Anything that changes in life can cause stress. And then hassles. This is my favorite. This is getting stuck behind the school bus on your way to work. This is, getting in line, the line that you think is the shortest line at the grocery store, to find out that your checkout clerk is the slowest person ever. And if you'd gotten into the longer line, you would have been done, 5 minutes earlier. Little tiny things cause stress, and it just builds up throughout the day. All right, so stress versus distress. All right, so distress is a type of stress that stems from acute anxiety or pressure, and it can actually be harmful to you. So examples of harm, and you can see right here, chronic pain, lack of meaningful friendships, anxiety, depression. And friendship is something that we don't get to talk about because, we don't get to be in school all of the days, and, we're trying to limit the amount of stuff that we're having to do. Friendship is necessary. We are social animals. We need people around us. It doesn't have to be a ton of people, but it is not healthy to have no close friends. So if that's the situation that you're in, when you move on to college or next year or whatever, put forth a little bit of effort. Try to find somebody who shares similar ideas or that you enjoy being with, just for that friendship aspect, because it is very healthy to have friends, because not having friends can lead to, distress. Anxiety, depression, these are other things that can be caused by distress. Eustress, however, is good stress. So eustress results from strivings and challenges that are quote-unquote spice of life. For example, winning a sectional championship, writing a play that you enjoy, being in band and having a solo. So a lot of times, a little bit of stress can help us perform better. And you can see that, right here. So as we get to that, eustress moment, I want to do a good job on this. So you put a little bit of pressure and a little bit of stress on yourself to do better. Your performance increases. But if you put too much stress on yourself, you end up going into distress, and that causes problems. So how do we respond to stress? This is called the general adaptation syndrome. And this is, what we're going to be looking at a little bit more tomorrow. So Hans Saley identified 3 stages. So we have alarm, resistance, and exhaustion. All right, so you can see right here, you have the stressor, so the alarm. And our ability to resist the stress takes a dip because we look at it and we're like, oh my God, I can't handle this. That's the alarm stage, first stage. As we realize, yes, we can deal with the stress, we use defense mechanisms, we use other stress responses, and we're able to resist it. We're able to deal with the stress. But if that stressor lasts for too long, we end up going into phase 3, which is exhaustion. So you're, not able to do things that you want to do. So, okay, again, usually we do this closer to, finals, which we're not having this year. A good example of this is, have you ever been in a situation where you have a big test coming up, and at first you're like, oh my gosh, I can't handle this. That's that first alarm stage. Then you're like, okay, I'll just study. Have you ever gotten to the point where you literally just shut the book, you're done, and you're just like, I am done. Nothing can be done now. Whatever grade I get is whatever grade I get, because you're so mentally exhausted. That is exhaustion. So how do we deal with stress? We have a couple of different coping strategies. So defensive strategies, these are not actually like good coping strategies, by the way, but we do them a lot. So cognitive appraisal, you might look at it and go, you know what, that's not a stressor, that's just a challenge. Okay, it's not a threat, it's just a challenge. Denial, refusal to acknowledge that the event, person, or item is actually a stressor. For example, I love my dog. She's fantastic. Right now, she's taking a nap on my couch, and it's great. But she does cause stress, when I'm trying to plan a vacation or something like that, trying to figure out how to make sure that my dog is taken care of is a stressor. But if I denied that she was a stressor, I'd be in denial, and that doesn't actually help you deal with the stress. It just kind of covers it up. And then intellectualization, you just emotionally detach yourself from the situation. So instead of acknowledging that the stressor is, something you care about and also something you love, you just divorce your emotions from it. All right, then we have active coping. This is when you change your environment or modify the situation to remove the stressor or lessen the amount of stress. So this is, instead of just letting the stressor affect you, like defensive coping, you're actually going to do something about the stress. All right, so active coping, hardiness. You might look at something and say, you know what, yes, this is going to be hard, but I can handle it. Okay, having that positive attitude, an attitude of challenge, preparation, and control. Controlling the situation, you might be able to space out events. You can leave a situation that might be too stressful, that type of thing. So you're still actually doing something. Problem solving, if there's an issue that's causing you stress, maybe figuring out a different way to handle it will lessen the stress. Optimism, thinking positively, can be very helpful. Okay. You know, now that I have to give an example, they've all fled my mind. But just taking the positive outlook, finding the silver lining can be a very good thing. Humor, laughing releases tension and it can help keep stress at bay. There is a reason people like watching funny cat videos or looking at memes. Okay, it helps us decompress from the day. It helps us deal with the stress that we're dealing with. So humor is a good thing. So looking for the good, looking for the humor, you know, having faith in your ability to handle things, you know, taking an active role is active coping. All right, and then physical and social coping. Use physical techniques and outside sources to cope with stress. So physical coping, you might exercise, you might do something to relax yourself, maybe like take a bubble bath. You might do yoga or some meditation. If you're stressed out about a physical thing that you might need to do, so maybe like you're an athlete and you have a big game coming up, you might do a little bit more training to help prepare yourself. So my sister, when we were growing up, whenever she would get mad, she'd go for a run. So she would, you know, jog to clear her mind, to get her emotions under control, and to kind of remove herself from the stressful situation, to get a handle on it. So that's physical coping. And then social coping, you might try, you know, talking to people, you might go to a support group, you might use an actual therapist or a counselor. A lot of us do these last two, which is venting and support through friends and family. I am sure everybody has somebody they vent to, whether it's a family member or whether it's a friend. We all need someone that we can just be like, I don't know, a good, I guess, word vomit over, like when you have a bad day, or when something doesn't quite go the way you want it to go, or when somebody does something that you are very upset about. Like, just vent, get it out. And then once you're done, move on to something new. Dwelling on it and venting and continuing to vent doesn't really help, but getting it all out is helpful. And then social support through friends and family. You know, if you're going through a hard time, you might have friends reach out to you or family members, you know, talk to you, that kind of thing. Now, these are some common coping strategies. Turning to religion is probably the most common. Active coping strategies, you know, the removing yourself from the situation, humor, those types of things from a couple slides ago are, you know, things that we would do. Suppression of competing activities, so like you don't do one thing in order to focus on something else. Acceptance. Now, a lot of these are good. So planning, good. Mental disengagement, not good. Positive reinterpretation and growth, good. That's active coping, like hardiness. Behavioral disengagement, bad. Humor, good. Denial, bad. And the worst one of all, alcohol disengagement. I'm stressed, so I'm just going to drink. That doesn't actually help you deal with the stress. So just make sure that we're, you know, choosing the best possible options. So I know that that video was a little bit long, but I want to make sure that we get everything out of the way. So there will be a Google question where this video is attached, or in the same topic as where this video is. Make sure you answer that Google question. If you wanted to reply to somebody else's, go for it. We can maybe have a discussion that way. And like I said, we're all pretty stressed right now, which is why I chose this topic. Stress isn't going to go anywhere. We're always going to deal with it, and it's good to find ways to cope that are positive ways. So those active coping mechanisms, the social or physical coping mechanisms, you want to be using those. You don't want to use those defense mechanisms. Being active, proactive with what's going on in your life is always going to be a better option. Okay, so make sure you answer that Google question, and that's it for today. So tomorrow you guys will have a little bit of an activity. Shouldn't take you too long, about stress, and then you'll be done for the week. And then we'll only have 3 days left. We're almost there. All right, so you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.